Namaste. My name is Neelima. Welcome to Reflections Along the Way podcast, where you will be listening to reflections from learnings and experiences along my life's journey. So the question now becomes, how do we regain our limitless original nature, which is that of Satchit Ananda, and which is the blissful nature of Om, right? So for us to do that, we have to transcend the three conditionings, which are the body, mind, and intellect, which are shielding us from the pure self. We cannot do this by just suppressing these equipment, right? Because the cause of these equipments functioning in the way that they are the vasanas. So without actually destroying the cause or annihilating or exhausting the vasanas, we cannot destroy its effects. As long as the vasanas are in us and they're powerful, we are kind of a slave to the vasanas that we have. We are compelled to act and think in a way that the vasanas dictate us to act and think. So our effort should be to carefully and endlessly, without getting tired, to divert our mind and intellect away from the preoccupation of the world's objects, emotions, and thoughts towards that awareness of the self. We have to put that effort by ourselves to drop off our lower impulses. We have to learn how to lift ourselves by ourselves with our own self-effort. When we identify ourselves with that higher nature within us, the lower automatically drops off effortlessly. And that is true renunciation, which is sannyasa. Swamiji gives an analogy here about how when we are children, we are so attached to our dolls and toys and we cling on to them all the time, right? But as we grow older, our attachment to the toys and the dolls and all those things that we used to play with when we were little just drops off automatically because we have more mature goals now. Our focus is on something else, and our goals have changed as we matured and as we grew up. And the desire for playing with those toys just effortlessly dropped away. It's not like we put special effort to not be attached to the toys and we had to, it's just that we just had more mature goals and that just went away automatically, right? Similarly, when we succeed in identifying ourselves with the higher in us, then all our lower tendencies, the intellectual, the restlessness we feel, the cravings we have, disturbing thoughts, everything, they just wither and they fall away, like how the petals fall from the flower when the fruit emerges, right? Vasanas veil the divinity in us. We are unable to recognize our true nature because of this veiling that happens due to the vasanas, and that's why they are known as ignorance or avidya in Sanskrit. That pure divine self is our true nature, but due to these vasanas, our mind is constantly agitated, and because of these agitations, we become ignorant of our true nature and identify ourselves with the personality and its limitations. All the thoughts such as I am this body, I am the mind, or I am the intellect, they all come because we are ignorant of our true nature and of the supreme reality, Om. And because of this ignorance, we feel a sense of imperfection in us because all these that we identify with are limited in nature. We try to make up for this sense of limitation we feel by creating desires and fulfilling them, in the mistaken notion that the fulfillment of those desires will bring us closer to that pure self and closer to that sense of perfection and sense of completeness. A self realized person is one who has destroyed this ignorance by his personal experience of the self. This doesn't mean that the self is somewhere hidden, we have to go find it or anything like that. Just as we don't need to make the sun shine by any means, right? Sun is always shining. Similarly, the self is always there within ourselves, but we are not able to perceive it currently because of the agitations in our mind that are caused by our own vasanas. Once that veil and that mass of vasanas is removed, then the real nature of the self is experienced in its own glory. So basically, we as an individual are nothing but we are the self, but it's as though we are contaminated by ignorance, which finds its expression in the world as thoughts and actions. This self that is conditioned by the mind, body, and intellect, which in its short form is BMI, is the individuality or the ego, and that individuality is also known as jiva in Sanskrit. This jiva is nothing but the perceiver, feeler, and thinker of the objects, emotions, and thoughts of the world, right? And this individuality is the one who suffers the limitations of the matter because of the limited nature of matter, right? This jiva can be compared to the reflection we see in a mirror. If the reflecting surface of the mirror is imperfect, then we may look distorted, right? But we know that that distortion we see in the mirror is not our true identity. The ugliness of our reflection can end only when the reflecting surface is cleaned or straightened, right? Similarly, for us to see that, realize that pure nature of self, we need to clean ourselves, clean our mind, put in effort to exhaust these vasanas that cover the self. Similarly, the reflecting surface of the mind is the one which allows that pure self to shine through. But that can shine through only when our mind becomes pure and steady. Mind is nothing but a steady flow of thoughts. Thoughts have ended. Once the mind has ended per se, then that self shines through and we can experience that self and our original nature, and we no longer are the individuality that we've perceived ourselves to be for so long, but we are that supreme reality, the self. The spiritual unfoldment cannot take place just by intellectually appreciating or understanding how we can achieve this self-realization. This evolution will take place only when there is a change in our subjective life, right? The way we live, the way we think has to change, and we have to be an enthusiastic seeker in re-educating and realigning the way we lead our life so that we can reach the goal of realizing that self. We have to learn how to exhaust or dissolve all these vasanas and remove the ignorance that separates us from this flow of divinity of life, this self, right? And when we do that, we will transcend the body, mind, and the intellect equipments to realize our true nature. Om. Thank you for listening to today's reflections. If you'd like to connect with me, please visit bluishmuse.com. Until next time, Namaste.